Welcome and welcome back, everybody. The OK Grognard Show. Today is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, 10 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And today, after missing 2 weeks due to illness and still being a little scratchy, to be honest, I'm going to look at the Lancer-Ace Conan series of paperback books by Robert E. Howard, stories collected by L. Sprague and Lynn Carter, and added to be honest. We'll talk a little bit about that. But hey, what's going on? March 4th, happy GM's Day, everybody. What's up? Oh, there it is. Let's do that. Right on. See? It's only been 3 weeks. I'm not at all rusty at this. Not that I was ever, without a certain amount of rust and oxidation. Got a Gary Con shirt on. That's coming up in just 2 weeks from tomorrow. Hey, Vince himself. He's in the chat. Welcome, Vince. Thanks for coming out to check it out. Happy Gems Day, my friend. You are a game master. I don't think you run D&D games, but dungeon games, I think that counts. Because if you're running it and not playing and just letting other people play, will you run it? I think that counts as GMing, game mastering, and game mastering is what it's all about for GM's Day. It's inclusive of game masters of all stripes, storytellers, dungeon masters, referees, the original GMs. And that's what's important, right? Is getting games to tables and having fun. But what is this we're talking about for today? We're talking about the Lancer-Ace books, which, honestly, why do I have the second one up here? Hey, that's a good question. I have the second one up here because it's actually the first one I read, so it's the one that has that special place in my heart with that classic Frazetta battling the two frost giants, the brothers of the, they're practically gods, right? Demigods? How would we write them up in DM terms? He beats them. It's a great story. And you know what? Let's get into some of that because I think that'll be interesting to look at the development of these. There we go. Conan books. Conan books are sword and sorcery fantasies featuring the character of Conan the Cimmerian, originally created by Robert E. Howard, written by numerous authors, and issued by numerous publishers. They include both novels and short stories, and later assembled in various combinations over the years by the several publishers. I will say this, and look at all these names of people that have written Conan stories over the years. My introduction into this was, of course, the Lancer Aces that I was talking about. They were first started being published in 66, went through 77, although there were later reprints, and we'll see as this goes down. These were mostly Robert E. Howard stories, and they were compiled by the editors. Pardon me, still a little scratchy. I'm gonna not lie to you there. The L. Sprague the Camp and Lynn Carter. I mean, look down here. The first book, which is this one, is published in 67. And it has the fingerprints of L. Sprague de Camp and Lynn Carter all over it. Because what they were attempting to do was to take all of the stories and put them in a sort of a chronology based off of the character's lifetime. And the idea was to take him from his origins on through his eventual. Well, he never really retires, does he? It's kind of left open in most canon. And the 12 books that I came to be familiar with were paperback books that were, quite frankly, inexpensive and all over the place back in the day. And picking one up and putting it in your back pocket. I have reacquired them several times over the last 50 years and unloaded them. Always thinking, well, I could always pick these up again. Well, recently I saw a big lot of 10 of them at a reasonable price on eBay, so I grabbed them up and then picked up a couple of the loose ones. I think I was missing 4: the Wanderer and Conan of Aquilonia, which would have been 11. I had to pick those up separately, and one of them I got with a couple other books. I'll show you what I picked up. So 1, 2, the first one I ever read, Freebooter, The Wanderer. I had to pick up separate, and notice the cover art. It's a little different than some of the others. Not all of them are Frazetta artwork, right? And then you've got The Adventurer, The Buccaneer. That's classic Frazetta, right? And then The Warrior, number 8, The Usurper. Now, some of the publications that were done earlier, like this one, Volume 3 and the Complete Conan, were part of a different Lancer group of published materials. It actually fits in as number 8. Number 8? No, as number 9. Conan the Conqueror in the chronology of the dozen that were put out in series. And you know what? Let's be clear. I didn't write that 8 on there when I got it. That was already on there. And you know what? It was 60 cents. Look at this. Look at this price. It was 60 cents when it first came out in the late 60s, early 70s. $1.95. They were already more than double when they put together the 12-book series. There's The Avenger. Aquilonia I picked up separately. I like the full color cover art for this one, right? But, that framed artwork that's on most of them like this, I mean, the artwork's great, but if it were bigger, the words would be over top of the picture, so not really a thing. This one is built to be a full cover, so there is some room up there left for titles and authorship. Conan of the Isles, of course, number 12. And then the couple of others that came in the lots where I was picking up. The other are a book from a different line, Conan the Liberator, and this is DeCamp and Carter without, separate from Robert E. Howard. Some of the stories, and here, Andrew Offutt, of course. This was in the small lot that came with Aquilonia. So I grabbed it and thought, hey, you know what? This will be fun to read. I'd never read this one, and I've read quite a bit of Andrew Offutt's other stuff. And he's a fine fantasy author, so well worth reading, in my opinion. So that's all 12 of them. We talked about the idea of them, right? Let's see. Let me get back to pulling up that wiki page. We can take a little closer look at some of the individual books, because oh, I know what I gotta do. I gotta do this and this and then this and then this. Just clicking around a little bit to make it all visible here. Let's look at that first one again. But look at its wiki page. So 67, collection of 7 fantasy short stories, associated pieces written by Howard, DeCamp, and Carter, featuring Conan the Barbarian, of course. look at all the reprints of this, because you can imagine with 12 books in the series, as the later ones became more popular and and the earlier ones weren't available, it's kind of hard to assure a maintained interest in subsequent publications if new readers coming to the series can't pick up, look at this, Conan 6. Oh, I'd love to read that. Where are the first 5? I got to get the first 5 if I'm going to read 6. Got to keep putting it out. So look at that. 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72 twice, and 73. Of course, that's when Lancer went out of business and Ace Books took over. And then you got 77, 79, 82 twice, 83, 84, 85, 86, 90. There was a British edition in 74 and 77, and of course other languages. So pretty amazing. There were some notable reviews. Fritz Leiber, for instance, there. And the contents, Hyborian Age, that was that classic overview of everything that Robert E. Howard wrote. They included a letter from Howard to Miller and an introduction by DeCamp explaining the series and what was going to be in there. The Thing in the Crypt, the classic Conan running across the plains that we know from the movie and diving into being chased by the wolves and then getting into the crypt and the ancient skeletal remains of a king come to life, and he manages to destroy it and come out of it with a sword, which saves him from the wolves, right? Tower of the Elephant, pictured on the cover, right? That sorcerer who changes form to become strong and actually fight a barbarian, because as a weak little wizard, what's he going to do, right? Hall of the Dead, God in the Bull, Rogues in the House. All of these stories are classics, and the earliest and most Robert E. Howard of stories. And look at this, Robert E. Howard and L. Sprague de Camp. So Hall of the Dead wasn't a complete story and needed some editing, or some of these are fragments, some of these are full-blown stories that they wanted to fit properly into the chronology, so they made some adjustments to them. You know what? The original texts for all Robert E. Howard stories are out there and available, untouched, unsullied by other art. If you want to claim that you want the pure versions, they're out there. The fact that they took these and did some chronology in Conan's life doesn't take away from any of the rest of that. It's just a different interpretation of some of the things and a different way of looking at them all. And you know what? For my money, if it brings more people to reading Conan and Robert E. Howard stories, all the better. So the purist out there, you got your stuff. You don't need to complain. Doesn't take your stuff out of the mix. Destroying everything you ever had to make these. They're just in addition to. So don't worry about that. The book there then is the first one. If you ever look around and want to find a copy of that so that you can then get into the series. And now I'm telling you, if you can get these things for under $10 in a copy these days, you're probably doing pretty well. Look for large lots of them, even if they have a few other fantasy books from someone's shelf that they're unloading. A lot of times with these books, you're going to find that they are part of estate sales. Look in thrift stores where they might not look up every book's value, and you can get a little deal on one or two. Do that thing and you'll be standing yourself in good stead. So check them all out and enjoy them. I enjoyed them way back in the day, even before I was into D&D, before D&D was published. I was reading some of the earlier ones like this one, and they certainly helped me envision fantasy, sword and sorcery worlds while I was attempting to create worlds of my own and to game within other people's worlds. And it was a shared vibe that helped all of us at the same game table enjoy the same things. So, thanks very much. Hey, appreciate you being in the chat there, Vince. Just bought the entire Holland collection on audiobook. There you go. Yes, that'll be a great way to have something in your ears while you're doing all the busy work here and there. Good job, Vince, and thanks for being in the chat today. I appreciate that. Hey, so this was a discussion of the Lancer-Ace Conan Series by Robert E. Howard, L. Sprague de Camp, and Lynn Carter on this wonderful GM's Day, March 4th for GM's Day. Show streams live on Twitch each Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central, and it's archived on YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow, do all of that stuff. I'm going to forego reading the full list today, but there it is. Check it out. Those are Patreons. They're wonderful people, and I greatly appreciate each and every one of them. But the throat's starting to go, so I'm going to forego it. And I will say thank you for supporting the show. It's very much appreciated. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Bye-bye.